Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming in here today. And today we're here to actually to make a pledge, and I'm honored to sign, as well as some other members of our department, our pledge to the 30 by 30 pledge, uh, which is really about how do we continue to diversify and actually make this environment a place where women can not only be successful but be a major portion in law enforcement, as they should be. We live in a world where it is certainly diverse, and women certainly make up a large majority of that population. And I'm honored today actually to sign on a commitment to bring on at least 30% women in each academy class that we bring on from, each class from now until 2030 and beyond. And so I want to start off by acknowledging the members of the Massachusetts Associations of Women in Law Enforcement who are here with us today, including Vice President Chief Erin Karsha, I'm sorry about that, who's with us in the front row. She's from Babson College and has been a long proponent for this initiative, as well as many other folks. And I also want to welcome Kim Craven, Executive Director of the National Association for Women in Law Enforcement, as well as members of our Boston Police Women in Blue, who are here with us also today. You've all played a critical role in getting us here today, and we thank you for your initiative and your push to make this happen, not only here, but all throughout the country. This initiative is a national initiative, and we're joining over 325 fellow law enforcement agencies in becoming part of this pledge going forward. The goal is to increase the representation in women in police recruit classes, like I said before, 30% by the year 2030, and to ensure that our culture is the best it can be to support the successful careers of all women in law enforcement. With our current class recruit at around 24% currently, we've made significant progress in increasing the number of women to serve in the city of Boston, and I'm pretty proud about that, but we still have a ways to go. And this commitment should hopefully not only for my tenure, but for 10 years to come in the future, to make sure that we are obligated or intentional about making sure we bring women on our job. To be inclusive and equitable on all fronts for all genders in general is something that we strive for. So this is a proactive approach that we're trying to make, and as I described it, as being intentional, and we're very proud to be associated with this. So that being said, I'd like to bring the mayor on and for her comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, for your leadership on so many areas in public safety and representation and making sure that Boston can continue to lead the way. And thank you to all of our officers, command staff, members of Molly who are here today, and a special thank you to BPD's Women in Blue, who are the reason why we have in Boston built up the foundation to even be able to have this conversation today. So thank you especially Superintendent Nora Baston and so many others. I know Officer Woods is present at just about every event as well, for all that you do to make sure that our girls see themselves represented without question in this profession and in every position of leadership. We're here first and foremost because we believe in achieving public safety through public trust. And we know that making sure we're following and leading the way in community policing is hard if the community doesn't see itself completely represented in those who are charged with serving and protecting. The fact that nationwide women make up just 12% of active duty officers and just 3% of leadership of departments is not only an equity issue, it is a public safety issue as well. When it comes to ensuring that our residents are and feel safe in our city, those who serve must reflect the people and the neighborhoods that we serve. We live in a state and a city that is no stranger to women in leadership. And we're proud that the Boston Police Department is already beating national averages across the board. We have 15% representation of women among all officers, 24% of our current academy class recruits, 41% of command staff, and we want to do even more. That's why we're here today. As the oldest and best police force in the country, Boston once again has an opportunity to lead by paving the way forward with a more equitable, representative, and community-oriented approach to public safety. So thank you again to Molly, BPD's Women in Blue, everyone at the police department, my colleagues here, City Council President Ed Flynn, City Councilor at Large Aaron Murphy, for all of their support and leadership in making sure that our city and every role in leadership reflects our community. And I'll just reflect a little bit, why 30%? And does 30% feel like, why aren't we aiming for 50%, 60%, 70%? As mentioned, this is a national effort, and we are starting from a baseline where the truth is that even right now, 30% is a stretch for many, many departments. We want to join the movement, join the momentum from those departments who have already committed in Massachusetts and across the country. And we know that achieving this critical mass, even at 30% as a starting point, is how we then quickly snowball and accelerate it to do even more. When I was first elected to the council in 2013, that election year, we doubled the number of women serving on the Boston City Council. When I joined, we went from 1 to 2 women on our 13-member body. And at that time, we always were called the women counselors, right? Ayanna and me. And even the next year, when we doubled again and had 4 out of 13 counselors, it was still, what are the women counselors planning? What are the women counselors doing? Anytime they wrote about us in the paper, it would be the woman counselor, this and that. By the time the next election cycle rolled around and we added 2 more, and women were such a critical mass of that body, I don't know that Councilor Murphy's ever been referred to as a woman counselor because it's just normal and expected. And that's how it should be across every industry. We want our kids to grow up knowing and seeing, not even having to think about whether certain jobs are for only boys or girls or this or that portion of our community. We want our jobs, our leadership positions, our opportunities to truly be open to all, and we want the best possible people sitting in these jobs and serving our city. I'm so proud to serve alongside such incredible leaders here, women and some men who are in charge and leading the way, and we're excited to do even more. So thank you all for all that you've already done, and we can't wait to partner in making sure Boston continues to lead.
Before we sign, Chief Kasha, would you like to say anything? Oh, yes, sir.
Good morning, afternoon to some. Thank you, Mayor Wu and Commissioner Cox, and all of those here today who worked towards this formal commitment to the 30 by 30 pledge. And more importantly, to those that will be working intentionally to support this outstanding initiative moving forward. My name is Erin Karsha. I'm the Chief of Police at Babson College, and I'm here today representing MOLLE, the Massachusetts Association of Women in Law Enforcement, as the Vice President of the board. I wanted to share that our MOLLE Executive Board and many members, including those here today, are so appreciative of the Boston Police Department's leadership towards this exciting initiative. We know this will be work towards improving representation and experiences of women right here at BPD. We realize this is a significant undertaking, including recruitment, hiring, and retention efforts, investing in assessment and promotional opportunities, updating and modifying policies. But more importantly, critically focusing on intentional cultural transformation and recognizing the importance of all diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging efforts. As many of you know, there's over 300 police agencies across the nation participating in the 30 by 30 pledge, but only approximately 6 here in Massachusetts, one of which is BPD. Currently, women make up only 12% of sworn officers, 3% of police leadership in the United States, many of which are in the room today, which is great. This underrepresentation of women in policing has significant public safety implications and direct impact on the communities we serve. So I just want to reiterate on behalf of MOLLE, this ceremony here today affirms that Boston Police Department is taking the lead in being a role model for other agencies across the state. We hope your decision to take this pledge motivates other departments to follow in your footsteps so we can support them as well as you. So thank you. Thank you for your commitment.
Councilor Flynn, would you like to say?
Thank you, Commissioner Cox and Mayor Wu, and I certainly support this initiative as well. So I want to say thank you again to the mayor and to the commissioner for leading the way on this. Let me just leave you with two quick stories. I want to say thank you also to the woman on the Boston Police Department that reached out to me many months ago, and I had the opportunity to listen to them on a conference call about the important role women officers play in our city. I already knew that, but it was great to hear that because it's important for the public to know exactly what is happening across the city, and it's women police officers that are doing tremendous work in every neighborhood of the city. The second point I wanted to make is I was, a few years ago, I was at Moakley Park with Officer Woods, and I was talking to Officer Woods, and a lot of young girls came up to her from the South Boston Neighborhood House, which is right across from the public housing developments, mostly kids of color, and they said to Officer Woods, can a woman be a police officer? But the pride she had in telling the story about her career as a police officer really resonated with a lot of those young girls that were present. So just want to say thank you to the women police officers that do an incredible job in our city every day, and we're very proud of you. Thank you.
Councilor Murray?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I'd like to say there's 8 women on the council now. Definitely have a majority, but I always say the more women in all departments across the city, the better we are as a city. I was a school teacher for over 20 years where most BPS teachers are women, so we always wanted more men in our profession, and we know that safety, police officers, it's many times men who choose this as a profession. So thank you to Mayor Wu, Commissioner Cox, the department for investing in making sure we can recruit and retain more women, but also thank you to like Superintendent Baston and others that you've shown women that you can become a police officer, but you can also rise in the ranks and you'll be respected as you move up. So that's another commitment I know we want to make, that we're also promoting more women to leadership roles. I know myself and residents across the city, not to say that when a male officer responds that we don't feel comfortable, but there are times in mothers' lives or children's lives where they may feel more comfortable reaching out to a woman officer and knowing that you're there and you've shown them that you can be trusted. And I know that many of you take on more than just what we see out in the neighborhoods, that many times there are families and children calling you because they feel like that bond and they can trust you. So thank you for all you do, and I'm looking forward to seeing more women out there, so thank you.
So we're going to sign
Does anyone
our
have any
pledge.
questions related to this that they'd like to ask before we move everyone over to do the signing?
Can you, Commissioner, maybe you can speak to this. Why do you think women continue to be underrepresented in police departments?
Well, that's a tough question,
We've
but
heard about changing policies, modifying policies, and with that in mind, I guess.
I mean, certainly early on there were a lot of barriers to coming on the job. Early on, there was a lot of barriers for anybody who was diverse coming on the job, from whether how tall you were to how strong you could your fingers were, and so to speak, and a lot of things that didn't necessarily pertain to doing police work. And so as we go through and try to find all those impediments, and it's just not only for women but for all people, we're trying to remove them out of law enforcement, but I think women have been impacted by that for a long period of time. And then secondly, this job, because of the stigma associated with this was an all-male career, we have to get over that stigma that the fact is we have females here. We need females here. We want women on law enforcement. And I think this will go a long way of hopefully letting the world know, and certainly young people who are considering, or young women who are considering any career, to think about this career where you can give back to the city. And so, events like this, I think, will go a long way to addressing maybe some of the past issues that are preventing women from being in law enforcement.
Is flexibility an issue as well?
I'm sorry, what is your question?
And I think on this question especially, what does it mean to be a woman officer?
Yeah.
None of us up here
speak.
can answer
Yeah.
that. I want to invite out, I don't know if it's Superintendent Baston or anyone here representing women in blue to come say a few words.
Excellent point, since I am not a female officer.
So a couple of things, I think, to answer your question, way back historically, policing was, you were hired off the civil service exam, which there was a list, and the male was mostly from the military. Military are mostly men. And then policing has changed over the years. So policing is no longer just knocking down doors. And you've seen the shift about policing, and policing is about building relationships, which attracted a lot of females. And I think that seeing that the job is also that you can build relationships and trust, and you can also use the tools, that it's about working with community and sitting down at a table and having a conversation, which a lot of women, we have a better time doing, and we can come to the table and just be able to push the community forward. And it's not, I think it's more attractive now because they see us in them. They see us out there at schools reading to kids. They see us out there with the whole uniform, and they say, I think I can do that. I think I can relate to that. So I think because they see more of us out there over the years, in playgrounds and schools, all across the community, coming out of police cars and answering radio calls, I think that was the big attraction. That is why people wanted to come on the job, and not more women wanted to come on the job now. But the hindrance, I believe, before was that civil service, there was a list, it was a very attractive job. The list was hard to get on, and when you break it down, military got preference. So I think it was extremely hard to get on years ago, including some physical things to get into the academy, which since then have been removed. So I believe that's why it's less, but I think that's why now you see it rising.
And I think personally for me, I always talk about when I have an opportunity to talk to young girls, I talk about being a young girl, especially a woman of color. I never seen any female officers growing up. And it wasn't until I was 11 years old at the Commons, waiting for the bus with my mother and my brother, and I seen this woman on a horse. And that's when I knew that this was the job for me. This is something I wanted to do. So no matter wherever I am, whatever time it takes, if there's ever a young girl who wants to have a job in law enforcement, I'll take the extra time to talk about it. And I'll tell them about the pitfalls of when I was in academy, how I struggled with the runs and just the things, but also the motivation that I knew this was something I want to do long term.
In the Women in Blue, I think the sisterhood, when you see the camaraderie of females at a court, we just had an event with Lauren Woods the other day, and you go across Wainwright Park and see 25 female officers, young, some just with not even on probation yet. I think that attracted a lot of people because people want to feel a part of something in that sisterhood that Women in Blue has brought, and all the female officers that come together in Mali and all the different departments that you see these conventions, and you look at that and it's more advertised. And I think people look at that and say, I want to be part of that because that looks special. We're changing lives every day. And we're also seeing the cool things that people that on SWAT, and it's in jobs that more attractive, that used to be male dominated, you now see females in that role, including leadership roles. Because Mayor Wu, I remember when you came on the council, I was the only female command staff. So to see the female command staff in leadership roles, like you said, I think people say, I can be a part of that because you don't just want to be a part of it, you want to be accepted and you want to be able to grow in a department. And I think that's the difference. I think before you can come on, but there was a role that you played, I think in most departments, and I think now they think the role is, there is none anymore, it's removed. And they can be anything they want to be, and they can have the jobs that before weren't, offered to them.
Oh, I was wondering if you two could just say your names.
Yes. My name is Nora Baston.
Nicole Grant,
And if you could just add your titles as well.
Deputy Superintendent Nicole Grant.
Superintendent Nora Baston.
One more question? We're good? If I could ask maybe the first couple of rows, of you all, can you come up behind us as we sign this, if that's all right? Sign my spot. We didn't think
Shift over a little bit more somewhere on this side.
Yeah.
Don't block anyone.
I'm short.
Go on. All right, Jen here. Jen, you're part of
We need
this.
civilians.
Prior Molly Award winner.
Yes, both of them.
almost done.
I can't wait. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it. So, behind me is some of the finest law enforcement and civilian staff in any police department in the country. So, I'm proud of them all. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. So,